Hey, Nathan, nice to have you back.
I'm back from vacation, folks. It was too short.
Are you rested and relaxed?
No, I'm in so much pain. I went to Disneyland with my family in
Yes.
California, and we spent 3 days going to the parks, and I wasn't physically prepared. And we walked a total of 23 miles
Whoo!
in those
That's
3
a lot
days.
of steps.
Yeah, it is,
That's
and I
a lot.
wasn't prepared for that, so my legs are still hurt. But it was an amazing adventure, and it was also really, really wet because right now California is underwater.
So you're turning into one of those Disney people where every vacation is Disney Park, Disneyland, Disney Cruise.
I mean, I wouldn't mind being one of those people, but I can't afford to be one of those people. It's an expensive vacation.
It is, but there's something about going to Disneyland where you just kind of check your brain at the gate and you feel like even though it's expensive, you're not going to get, mugged, screwed.
No, it's really safe, even if it's completely drenched, which it was.
But not just safe, but you feel like you're spending a lot, but you're getting a lot. There's a lot of value.
I have no problem with what I spent. We figured we could have paid for a family of four to go to Hawaii for about a week for the same price. And in reality, I think my kids had a lot more fun doing it this way.
You went to California.
California, yeah, that's right. So
I know this is going into culture wars, right? Because Disney is now, for some reason, at war with conservatives, even though I can't think of any more conservative company, at least the way it started. So I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the things that we'll be talking about in this podcast, which is deal breakers.
Yes,
deal
breakers.
Things that will keep you from buying a car or a truck. And then if you look at the picture behind us, if you're listening to this on Apple or one of the other podcast platforms, you can't see it, but it's me with a big smile pointing at the Hummer EV right before it broke down.
Yeah, that smile, it betrays what is about to happen because it wasn't that smile later.
It broke down again, Nathan.
I know.
On the trail.
Oh, it gets better. Not only did it break down on the trail, and it was kind of horrible, but Roman called us when it was happening. And we were in a meeting here at the office, and Roman was on his own in Moab. And, it's like, I don't want to give it away, but it was pretty awesome when he was complaining because I am known to be the one in the office who really dislikes the Hummer. And I'm sitting here doing my little quiet victory dance as Roman's being tortured on the trail. It was quite a moment.
And I broke every rule of off-roading, right? I didn't have a buddy with me.
Right.
I was there by myself with nobody else there, so I'm now in the middle of nowhere.
I don't think you had gear with you either.
I had recovery gear in the truck. But, when you start thinking about a 9,500 pound truck and how much it would cost to take a wrecker into, Hell's Revenge and fins and things to get it pulled out of there, I just started to wilt. Oh, so we'll talk about that
We'll get
a little bit later, and we'll tell you what happened. You can watch the video and see what happened over at All TFL. But let's talk about deal breakers, Nathan.
Yes.
So I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I'll tell you what got me started on this. And this is a stupid deal breaker, but it's a deal breaker. So a deal breaker to me is something in a car that will keep you from buying it no matter how much you love that car.
I'm right there with you because there's several cars that I came close to buying that I decided not to because of one or two things.
So let's discuss these things. So I'll start with what brought this topic up, and that is we just had the Defender here.
Yeah, I love the Defender.
Yeah, I do too.
It was the 130, right?
It was the 3-row with the super turbo, bigger engine.
Bigger engine,
the
yeah.
bigger engine, the 6-cylinder. Yeah.
So if you were to look at it, it's the Defender with the larger butt.
Right, and it's got the big overhang, which isn't great. We had one, and I'm not going to go. If you want to watch those videos, just go to TFL. I think it's on Car. Yeah, it's on Car, where we went through three of them before we were able to.
I think we put them on off-road as well.
Yeah.
Some of it.
Anyway, so we bought one and it broke down right away. Then they gave us another one that they couldn't give us because that also broke, not because of anything, something a dealership did. And then we ended up with a third one.
Third one was great.
It was great. Yeah, it was great. It was the 110. And we ended up selling it because the new Bronco came along and we had to take the money out of the Defender and put it in the Bronco because we don't keep cars. We
roll them over to the next one, the next one,
and
because you guys want it.
And speaking of which, if you're listening to this on Apple or one of the podcast platforms, this week we are selling, get this, the Bronco finally.
Oh,
I love that truck.
Yeah, that Bronco was been with us for a little while, and we put it through a lot of adventures.
We did. We took it up Red Cone. We compared it to a whole bunch of different Jeeps. Good vehicle, first edition, and we're going to sell it over at TFL Bids if you want to go bid on it. And what I decided to do was, because when we got the vehicle, we got it as a reservation from somebody who was one of the first people to basically say, I want one.
Right.
And when you do that, when people give us their reservations, then we, in exchange, help support a charity of their choosing.
That's correct.
And in his case, he worked for McDonald's, so the charity was the Ronald McDonald House.
That's right.
So we did a bunch of shout outs to that, and then we ended up paying, the sticker was $63, and we ended up spending $69 on it with tax and everything, and $69 and some change. So I thought, you know what? I looked up the values of first edition Broncos.
Yeah.
Sasquatch package. They're like, if you go to KBB, it's like 71, so it's above sticker. And then they're selling, if you have it at a dealership, for about 75.
That's no surprise.
Yeah, it's no surprise. I mean, big tires. It's got all the bells. It's a first edition. They only made 7,500 of them. So at some point, when we're old and cranky, these things will be worth a lot more money, and I'll be grumpy about selling it.
Yeah, well, that's half the trucks we've owned.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, so because it was a Ronald McDonald charity vehicle, what we're going to do is put it on TFL Bids. The reserve is $69, which is what we paid for it, which is great. I can't complain, right? We got a bunch of video, and then anything above that, we're gonna give to the Ronald McDonald House here in Denver.
That sounds great.
So, like I said, they're worth about 71. They're going for 75 at some places. So whatever we get above 69, we're just going to donate to Ronald McDonald House, which is this charity where parents get to stay when their kids are sick and in a hospital. I can't think of a better charity.
It's a fantastic charity. I actually know somebody who's worked through them before. It is one of the most worthy charities out there, especially for a large organization like McDonald's. Very well done.
So if you want our first edition Bronco, head on over to TFL Bids and please bid on it. And we'll be grateful to have you come by and meet the team and do a video with you if you end up being the highest bidder for it, and just to make you YouTube famous. So anyway, that's a long way of going to the point that I drove the Defender and I found it had a deal breaker in my mind, and this is a stupid deal breaker, but it's a deal breaker. And
it's big butt?
No. It's just all Defenders. Doesn't matter. 90, 110, the 130, they all have this.
Okay.
And here's what it is. When I drive, Nathan, I have one foot on the accelerator, and I take my left foot, and I kind of stick it like the way I'm sitting right now. You see how it is? It's kind of bent like 90 degrees under the seat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's kind of bent.
So you don't use the dead pedal?
Sometimes, but most of the time, I have it tucked in under the seat.
Okay.
Except in the Defender, there's a big hump there.
That's right. I remember now because of the way that it's designed. It kind of lifts up there.
Yeah, there's a hump there, so you can't put your foot back there. What you'll do is you'll hit this big hump, and every time I go to move my foot there, which I do in every car, I hit this hump, and it just drives me crazy. I know it's stupid. I know it probably not a big deal, but that is a deal breaker, and it's similar to the deal breaker. I'll give you another one, where and I've got this weird body that's got a long torso and short legs. I end up having to put the seat kind of close because my legs are short, but kind of in a weird position. And what that does is sometimes there are cars where your right knee will hit and rub up against the side of usually it's like the center console.
I have that all the time.
You know what I'm talking
about?
I
know exactly what you're talking about.
That's another deal breaker. I can't stand that.
Well, some consoles are really wide.
Yeah.
Or they have like something that juts out, like maybe a cup holder or maybe some component that's like near the gear lever, and it pops out a little bit, and sometimes they'll hit you in the knee. And maybe it's like a doctor's hammer where it hits you in the knee and suddenly it jerks. Okay, that happened to me. I know what you're talking about, although I hate to say you're wrong because the Defender is an amazing vehicle, which is also like the poison apple. You really want to eat it, but if you do, you're in trouble. I love the Defender, by the way. I had the same problem with a Nissan Frontier. Remember, I recently went out and I bought myself a Hyundai Santa Cruz.
Yep.
A little pickup. And I'm very happy with it. It's not perfect, but it's fun. But one of the vehicles I was looking at was a bare bones four-door Nissan 4x4 Frontier. Okay, and I forgot that there was one big issue with it, and I sat in one at a dealership. It was only a couple $1,000s over my thing, so I thought maybe I could work some magic. I sat in it, went to adjust the steering wheel, and realized something. There's no telescoping adjustment. It only rakes up and down.
Yeah, sure.
And the way I'm built, and we're all weird at TFL. I mean, the only one who's normal is Andre, who sits weird. I can't really sit right with the steering wheel in that position with my legs and everything else. Something's always out of alignment. We recently had one here at TFL that we were using in some videos, and once again, I was a little out of alignment. There's no telescoping adjustment, and had there been one there, most likely I'd be driving a Nissan right now.
You know what I'm discovering so far in this conversation? That we're old because old men love their comfort.
Oh my God, but that's so true. That's why I got the Hyundai over the Ford Maverick, because I was more comfortable in it. And my wife's like, yeah, you're really old. Once you pass 50, things start happening.
Yeah, it's like when you're younger, all of the things that you care about, adventure and
Sports cars, falling into a sports car, and I want to drive that.
Ambition, all that takes a second place seat to comfort.
I do admit that I like to be comfortable, and also I like to look a little bit better than I used to. In terms of the car I'm driving, not the way I look, but if a car takes off weight, that's a real plus, and if it makes you look worse, then it's a deal breaker. That's another component to it too.
So, what would be a car that makes you look worse? That would be a deal breaker.
That's really easy. Pretty much anything that's high end luxury. I don't look right in it.
You look like a Bentley,
not even
Bentayga. How about you look good in a Bentley Bentayga?
No, I would look terrible.
A Rolls Royce Cullinan. Come on.
No, they think I'm a Russian hitman or something like that. No, that's the problem. It puts out the wrong. Even a Lexus. I like Lexus, but I don't look right in a Lexus.
I think you look fine in a Lexus.
No.
GX. Come on, GX is sporty.
I can get away with a GX,
all right, but not the LX.
No way, LX. No way. You can get away with that. I can't. But it's interesting. There's certain vehicles where you drive it, like I really love driving this, but I can never own it. Even if you could afford it, that's kind of where I am with a deal breaker as well. But there's another deal breaker I wanted to throw out there.
Yeah.
It's a huge one.
Okay.
It's not just comfort, sound. There are some vehicles out there that just don't sound right. The exhaust note isn't quite right or whatever. Look, we owned a TRX, one of the best sounding pickup trucks in the world, right?
Yeah.
We've also owned a couple Corvettes, and they sound really good, right? We also own...
Maybe that's why I hate the Hummer, because it makes no sound.
It makes no sound.
Yes.
Yeah, that is an issue. But I also own an electric vehicle, and I don't care that it doesn't make a sound. Yeah. But there are some other vehicles out there that make just really terrible noises.
All right, give me a vehicle that you don't like the sound of. I'll give you one I love the sound of. We just had it here, the RS3 Audi.
It's funny that you mentioned that.
A 5-cylinder turbo. I love the sound of
that. But that one sounds really good. Not all 5 cylinders sound good. And you know what else doesn't sound great? We had a Volvo just recently, that black one.
Yeah.
And it was the S60.
Okay.
It didn't sound good. It's a great car. It drives great. It's got a hell of a hybrid powertrain, plug-in hybrid. Doesn't sound good at all. Sounds terrible to me.
I'm gonna go broader on you.
Okay.
Broader category. I think any of those 2-liter turbos they tend to sound. Some can get away with it, but most 2-liter turbos are a little so much.
BMW can do turbo sound.
Yeah.
BMW is really good with that, and the Italians know how to make a turbo sound good. Any turbo sound good. Italians can do it.
Yeah, but that's about it.
That's about it.
Everybody else gets it wrong. So let me give you an interesting sound. This I just came from this. So this, we've got this old 1987 BMW. It's an M5 looking car. So it's a car they never sold it. It's a 535i with kind of the M line, right? So it's got the headlights, the spoiler, and and there's this kid who came by, Tim. And he was thinking about buying it, but he wanted to trade. So guess what car he brought in to trade? Because he works at a BMW shop.
I guess it's not a Mustang.
It was a BMW M5, but the V10.
Ooh.
A Denon V10.
Oh, so it's a beefed up one.
Yeah. So 500 horsepower, but it also, if you watch YouTube, has a reputation of being the worst, most problematic, most expensive car you could buy, because not only does it have the SMG, right, which is, I just drove it, horrible.
Yeah, it's a terrible gearbox.
But the engine has all sorts of issues.
Okay.
So I drove it, and we have driven SMG BMWs in the past, of course. I think between me and you have driven every new car over the last 10 years.
So.
And I'd forgotten just how bad they were when you're not on it, right? When you're not shifting, it's like, and then it like stumbles and things.
Or at the light where it rolls back a little bit, but not like a manual.
Right, yeah. So it was this basically this dual clutch, right? Dual clutch BMW's first attempt at like a high performance transmission, and it just went south and wrong in every possible way.
Except when you're on the racetrack.
Except when you're on the racetrack, then it
It's
knocks
just
off.
absolutely amazing.
Right, but in terms of longevity, it's horrible. In terms of driving fun, it's horrible. And actually, there's a $5,000 premium for those manual V10 M5s because people want the manual so badly over the SMG. Yeah,
I would too, in so many ways. But yeah, I could see why you wouldn't want to get the V10. Although that would be really cool. We haven't owned a V10 car before, a truck.
No, but so the other problem with it was black and the paint was completely shot. I mean, like it had been sitting in the sun for, I mean, it was like somebody took sandpaper and just basically rubbed off all the clear coat. And that's expensive to fix. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a $10,000 paint job if you do it right.
Yeah.
Right? If you do it badly, it's probably $5,000. So already you got an SMG, you've got an engine that's got all kinds of issues potentially if they haven't been fixed. You've got, bad paint job. And then somebody took they had this beautiful wood and they put a fake sticker carbon fiber.
Oh, don't say those words.
I know.
You know how much? That's a deal breaker.
That's a deal breaker.
No, it is. It truly is.
So putting beautiful real wood covered with fake sticker carbon fiber plastic.
I would just rather plastic at this point. There are so many vehicles out there that have special carbon fiber.
That was
components.
now peeling off, of course, so you can see the wood underneath.
Of course. Oh, that's just bad. Carbon fiber inlays and carbon fiber components that are put into vehicles are a huge deal breaker for me. Just looking at them, I can't appreciate that because unless it's a super sports car that really needs that weight savings, 90% of the time it's unnecessary and they put it in there for looks. Does carbon fiber look good to people? I don't think it does.
I think, it's like it comes and goes, and I think it's gone, right? It had its moment in time when it was cool and new and fresh, and now it's been done to death. Same with piano black, and that's another one that's a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, piano black is rough.
Because what happens with piano black is it not only shows every fingerprint, but it shows every speck of dust.
It does. I have piano black in my car.
I know.
And I actually have a little chamois in my...
to keep it, yeah.
Yeah, and I just go and I'll just do a quick little wipe down. But it also shows all the fingerprints. And we live in Colorado. As such, you open the door to your vehicle and lots of goo comes in, sand and everything else.
Pollen.
Yeah, and it sits there. And it kind of sucks. You know what I love and I miss?
What?
A nice mixture of wood and metal.
Yeah.
Wood and aluminum always wins in my book. And it doesn't have to be crazy, and it could be even fake in some cases. New fake woods look really good, but I just hate the carbon fiber look.
So another deal breaker for me, black. Black, it's specific to
black
me.
car?
Black car. So for the
for what we do, it sucks.
For what we do, it sucks because black is bad at everything in terms of video production. It hides the shape of the car.
That's what we're talking about is video production.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the color of the car. So it sucks up all the color.
All the light.
It sucks up all the light, and you can't see the lines of the car when we're showing you guys the video.
It just looks like a giant black donut going down the road.
That's the problem.
And then if it's very shiny, it reflects. It's like a mirror. So if you have a videographer, then you're looking at not the car, but the reflection of the videographer. But personally, Nathan, when I was in Prague, I had an M3. And I didn't want black, but this is the first generation of M3. And it was either, at that point, the dealer was like, well, you can get the car yellow, which was like, oh, that's really yellow. And I had just had a red car, and so I picked the black car, and that was a car that I rolled into a tree and almost killed myself. So to me, death is the part that I associate with black.
Right. And I can understand that's a personal thing, and we all have like, for instance, I've had a lot of red cars. I don't like red.
Fair.
I don't like red on cars. Although, ironically, my favorite car that I've ever owned was a red car. That was a Fiat 124. We talked about that recently, and it looked amazing. But I saw somebody once paint one fly yellow. Never owned a yellow car, and it looked so good. Anyway, the point is that we all have our deal breakers out there, but there are a couple things with new vehicles that are becoming a real issue.
All right, let's go for it.
All right, so here's one of them. Tech, and we've done this before in podcasts.
Yeah.
Some tech really is a big deal breaker for me.
And for me, Tesla has reached that point. Everything controlled by the screen, and that includes Tesla and Rivian, deal breaker. When once again, maybe it comes down to comfort, right? But when I want to go to the HVAC controls, or I want to tune up or turn down the radio, or if I want to do 3 things at once, which I used to be able to do, and you can't do it because you got to cycle through
all the screens and go one to the other.
Yeah, it's frustrating, and what ends up happening is you end up spending more time trying to figure out the tech in the car than you do trying to figure out how to drive it. And Nathan, I have figured something out, and I want to run this by you.
Yeah, please.
Because I think this is interesting. But before I do that, let's just hear a quick word from the advertiser. All right, so here's what I figured out. I have figured out that the reason there are so many Tesla loyalists, right, and there are so many Tesla fanboys out there is because these are basically tech people, women and men, right, who really enjoy technology. And to them, the car isn't what it is to us, right? To us, it's a mechanical thing. It's about, speed and adrenaline and
handling and
performance
yeah.
and, all the off-roadiness and all the cool things that we associate with cars and trucks.
Sure.
To these people, the joy they get is about the technology. So it's all about, creating a new technology and a new paradigm for what a car could be. And that's exciting to them. To me, it means the death of cars. To them, it's the new frontier of cars.
It's so interesting that you say that. Now, I normally would love to disagree with you, but I actually agree with you to the extent that I have a cousin. He actually has the same first name as me, Nathan. He's an attorney in Los Angeles. He's one of those guys who was the first one to buy an iPhone. Mm-hmm. Why? Because he loved the tech.
Right.
He was totally into that. He was one of the first people to jump on when the Model S came out. And I think he has he's bought his third Model S now. And he absolutely loves it. Why? Because he adores the tech of the vehicle. And he is a super Tesla fan. He and I just had an argument about my deal breaker with Tesla. I love Teslas for the performance numbers. I do. But I can't stand the yoke. The yoke to me is a joke. And actually Tesla reluctantly is starting to do steering wheels again. That's a different story.
I actually think
I hate the yoke.
They actually did more than that. Now you got to specify the yoke as opposed to it used to, right? The Model S and the Model X used to come with a steering wheel, and then the newest version of it came with a yoke, and now they've gone back to the steering wheel. But if you want the yoke, you have to specify it.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought you got the yoke, but if you wanted
they changed it.
They
I think that's about as close to Tesla admitting they made a mistake as you're going to get.
You're never going to actually get them to say mea culpa. But the point is that I agree with you that tech people love that car, and a lot of tech people love the Rivian as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a similar type of thing. Although I will say with Rivian, they're one step closer to being car people because they want a truck, and they got a truck, so they understand a little bit more of why maybe truck people aren't too much into electricity, and they still say, hey, I got something that can prove you wrong. At least they try to. The point is that I agree with you. Tech people love electric cars. Tesla is a good example of that.
And that's why, I was reading a story about a guy who, was using either autopilot or full self-driving, and the thing basically ran into a parked police car. And he bought 3 other Teslas since then because he loves the idea of being in the forefront of this new technology and then getting the newest, helping basically create autonomy, right? Which is what, full self-driving, and I'm going to use the word beta is, right? Because that's what they're doing, right? They're creating this user-sourced, crowd-sourced AI program, and they're really excited by that. And to me, that is the antithesis of what I think a car should be. And this is going to be a problem that we're also seeing reflected, I think, between conservatives and liberals when it comes to actually electrification, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think they're a little bit misplaced in their hatred of electric cars because they're focusing on the wrong thing, I believe, right? They're focusing on the fact that they're electric versus the fact that they're going to stop being able to be driven. Right? If you love cars and you want just that ultimate pod, let's now we're talking about full mobility. This is what is coming down the road with all these tech people, right? I think to a lot of the tech people, it's the idea of the technology and the shape and the speed and the color of the car or truck don't matter.
Right. They want to be able to push a button and have it take them to wherever they want to go. And I totally get that. They're totally in the world of, Heinlein, Asimov. I want to go wherever this vehicle is going to be able to take me as safely as possible.
And I could play video games, or I could code, right?
Or have an amorous moment, as I'm going through traffic, which is pretty cool if you think about
Virtually.
it. But well, forget the virtual. I guess
virtually.
Virtually. I guess it's the new world.
Yeah. You know what was terrifying? I was just at CES with Andre, right? And this really scared me. BMW unveiled the next generation of cars.
Yeah.
And the front of the screen is basically all just virtual. So
Yeah.
so you can like see the world through a camera, and then that's projected on the front of the screen.
Right.
And what is that saying about the direction that BMW is heading? There was nothing about number of cylinders, size of turbocharger, horsepower. It was all about, let's create this vehicle where you don't have to look out the window because you could play video games while you're being driven. And that to me is terrifying as somebody who loves driving.
Well, that's a deal breaker as well, I suppose. I have a different point of view, but perhaps it's because I've been dropped in my head a lot.
Okay.
I personally see electric vehicles as a plus and minus. The plus is they can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They can actually be a lot of fun. They're very, very fast, and if you drive them the right way and you're in the right environment, you can actually save a lot of dough. The other side of it is they can be terribly boring, and they could point to a future that is, controlled by Big Brother. I don't care about any of that. I care about a car. I like cars. So if it provides something that's fun for me, fun, that's the word. I don't care about what side it sits on. I don't care about what politics are going to throw at it. If the car is fun, then it's a good car. I don't care if it's a Tesla. I don't care if it's a Nissan Leaf. And I don't care if it's an old Buick. If it's fun, it's fun. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I have no political, horse in this race because I think both sides are screwed. I think Nathan's side's the best. Have fun with the vehicle, then it's a good vehicle. There it is.
All right, I'm going to give you another category of deal breakers before we talk about the Hummer.
Yes,
what happened.
please.
I call this category, it could be posers or fake, but I hate anything that is non-functional that looks like it is functional. And it goes both ways. So it could be a giant hood scoop that doesn't work, right? It's there just for decoration. Or it could be like the Tundra where it should have recovery hooks, but it doesn't. Stuff like so. Both of those could be, depending on how egregious they are, deal breakers for me. I think with the Tundra and the lack of tow hooks, especially after what happened to me with the Hummer, so that's a way of kind of segueing into the Hummer. Might be a deal breaker because that should be the ultimate off-road truck for Toyota, the TRD Pro, and how you could not have recovery hooks.
Oh, I agree.
And I don't want to hammer that into the ground. But those are deal breakers.
Yeah, I agree. And this is a car conversation, so it doesn't really sit well, but I agree with it 100%. It's something that people have been yelling at me like, oh, you really harbor on one point. Well, it's a point. But there's something else.
Yeah, what's that?
Remember I was talking about carbon fiber?
Yeah.
Well, that's fake as hell because, as I said, 90% of the vehicles out there, when they slap it on their hood, that's a poser. Dude, if you own a Dodge Challenger, SRT, whatever it may be, and you have a carbon fiber hood, and you think that's going to make your car any faster, you're wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. It's not. All it's going to do is make you look like a poser to Roman. He doesn't like you anymore because you just put that carbon fiber hood scoop on top of your car.
Well, it looks like high school racer, right?
Yeah.
And when you get to a certain age,
we're going to call you Toretto.
When you get to a certain age, you understand why you do that because money is tight when you're in that, right? So to do the real thing gets expensive.
But when I was in high school, just like all my idiot friends, we did stupid things like the early wings and stuff like that would be stapled onto a car or whatever. I get it. A lot of people do that when they're young. But when you see a dude or a gal running around in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're slapping on all these extra components onto their vehicle, slamming it to the ground, doing stance, blah, 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 lights underneath it, and trying to say, yeah, I'm a racer. No, you look like a poser to people who actually are. So I agree with Roman on that. And if you are angry about our comments, please send them to Roman.
info@TFL
Yeah, it's info@TFL.
Yeah, I'll get that email for sure. Now, thanks.
Let's move on, though, to a vehicle that I do detest and that you like despite what happened. And that is our 2020, is it a 23?
2022.
It's a 2022 GMC Hummer that we recently added 37-inch tires to. It looks phenomenal. It really does have more street presence than any other vehicle I've ever been connected to. And despite the fact that it could theoretically be very capable off-road, it hasn't lived quite up to its badging.
So I'll give you two examples of what this is to me. So in high school, I had a friend, Fred, and he had a GT6. And I remember we spent a lot of time fixing that car on the road. And the nice thing about it was so light, you could actually pick it up. So you could, like when we got a flat tire, me and my friend Chris could lift it up. He could fix a tire without even jacking it up.
Yeah.
But it was always broken down. And then I had a girlfriend at the time who, when the relationship was good, it was phenomenal. When it wasn't good, it was horrendous. And both of those relationships I would call operatic.
Okay.
Right? And like an opera, right? That's where that comes from. Like, you
Sure.
know,
Well, I
these
get
big,
the whole
grand, you feel like you're alive, whether you're miserable or whether you're...
Early love definitely is something that is just like...
And that is my relationship with the Hummer EV. It's operatic at this point. You know, it left me stranded when I was coming back from a drag race we did in the middle of the... no, it was a rainstorm, right?
Right.
In the middle of pretty bad traffic.
Yes.
So we decided to take it to Moab, and we found that it had issues. And one of those issues was both on Red Cone, when we took it up Red Cone, and in Moab, it didn't have enough ground clearance because the air suspension, after a while, just gives up and stops lifting it. So you have like regular ride height.
Because it weighs as much as a small moon.
Yeah, you have like regular ride height, then you have extended ride height, and then there's a super ride height, which I never gotten it into. But anyway, you know, you lift it up and down enough times, it just kind of gets tired and stops lifting it up. And, then you got this 9,000-pound thing that can very easily get high-centered. So there's an old-fashioned way to fix that, and that is go to 35s. No, go to 37s from 35s.
That's correct.
So it comes with 35s, and GMC, smartly enough, once again, now it's becoming great and wonderful, engineered in such a way that you can put 37s on it without any modifications.
That is correct, and that's exactly what we did.
We put 37s, we reprogrammed it so, you know, the mileage was right, the fuel economy, well, electricity economy was right, speedometer was right. And then I took it to Moab to see if it actually sorted out that problem that we had.
And?
So I start the video. I'm like, okay, we fixed this. It's doing really, really well. And then I went down this little, like, right before, right before you go down what we call frame bender, there's like that little, like it's not very hard, but there's like that little kind of craggly part you go down.
Yeah, sure.
I went down the little craggly part, and all of a sudden, these double warning lights came up. 4-wheel steering. Faulty. Drive, faulty. C, service immediately.
Expect a robot to pop out going, danger, danger, danger.
And I'm like,
back and forth.
That's not good.
That's not good at all.
No, so I'm like pushing the accelerator and nothing's happening. Oh no. I'm like, maybe I'll put it in park, put it back in drive, push the accelerator, nothing happens.
It didn't even move?
No, completely dead. Yeah, like nothing. And I'm like, maybe if I put it in low, push the accelerator, nothing happens.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, last time this happened, what we had to do was pull the 12-volt battery and reboot the thing, right?
Which took an awful lot of work. If you watch the video, which by the way, Fox and some other people picked up and repurposed that video.
It took a lot of work because it's under the frunk. And because the thing had died so completely, the electric frunk stopped working, and we didn't know.
So you couldn't even open the trunk using an electric disconnect. You had to actually go underneath and find something.
Find like a little emergency cable to pop it, and then we were able to do it. So I was afraid to go pull the battery because now I'm on the trail, and I got a 9,500-pound truck that's going to be very hard to get off the trail. So I didn't know, because last time this happened to me, I had a fault, and what I did was I cycled it, right? Mm-hmm. There's IT crowd, right? Have you tried turning it on and off? So I was like, okay, maybe turning it on off will work, or maybe it won't work. So turn it on, turn it off, turn it on. It comes back to life. Both lights are still there, but now I have drive.
Oh, good.
But I don't have 4-wheel steering, which I can live without.
Okay.
But I also don't have front-wheel drive anymore. So now it's rear-wheel drive.
So the Hummer has 3 motors, one in the front for the front wheels, and then 2 in the back for the rear wheels. Now you are down to only 2 motors
on the rear wheels.
The rear wheels.
And now I'm going down frame bender, which is fine, but now what's after frame bender? One Tree Hill.
Right, and there's no way to get really around this stuff because once you're on this trail,
you can't go backwards. It's a one-way trail.
It really is a one-way trail.
Well, you can, but it would be
it would be more hazardous to actually go back than it would to be to go forward. So you had to go up One Tree Hill. That's where you call this.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, the panic in his voice was just delicious.
I'm like, how do I get up One Tree Hill in what is essentially rear-wheel drive? So and then the other thing that happens is it's kind of crooked, and if you start to spin your tires, you start to slowly slide into
towards the tree.
Towards the tree. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I go up, and all of a sudden I look behind me, and there's all this smoke coming up behind me. It's just a one wheel that's completely like roasting itself, right? It's just the tires just spinning. I'm like, okay, well that's not going to work. So I back up It's hard to back up because I got like halfway up, and all of a sudden you feel that 9,500 pounds.
Yeah, tugging backwards. Gravity works.
So it's not like going like this, but it's going like that. So when I'm doing with my hand, I'm not going backwards. I'm sliding sideways.
Yeah, towards the left, towards the tree.
Towards the tree. So it's sliding back toward the tree.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, shit. Shoot, I mean.
Darn.
Darn, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, I have a rear locker.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Did it engage?
Yeah.
No kidding.
The rear locker engaged. So
Wow.
I'm like, hey, maybe I can make it up with the rear locker. Nope, same problem. Go up about halfway. Now both wheels are spinning, doing a burnout, right? And I'm like, ah. And then I noticed that there's like this easier way around, which we never take. But there is, if you go to the right and avoid the tree, you can kind of.
But I thought there were steps there, sort of.
There are steps, but I used your method, Nathan, which,
Power. Yeah.
which is
speed.
momentum. That's right.
Yeah.
So I got up and over those steps and then made it up one tree hill.
Momentum is your friend.
And the only reason I did that was because thank you to BFG that gave us, these are they're KM3s.
Yes.
They're mud terrains. And I think the only reason I was able to do that because I had these extremely grippy and very off-road. I think, KM3s are probably some of the most off-road.
No denying
big knobbies, big chunks, right?
Yes.
So my plan was if I didn't air down because I wanted as much ride height as possible, right? That was because you air down and all of a sudden you go 35s again.
Yeah.
In terms of
and plus you couldn't lift the vehicle any higher anymore.
Right. So I was like, well, I could always try, airing down, but I got up with the new BFG KM3s. So I was so grateful.
One tree hill, didn't you have to go downhill again?
But from there, it's either flat or downhill.
Oh, okay.
And then it was fine because I could make it out. There were places where I got a little stuck, but I kept thinking of you, Nathan. So I kept the momentum up.
Momentum is good.
And then so now I'm like, okay, there's a massive snowstorm, and I got to drive home in rear-wheel drive only. And let's face it, while those are incredible off-road tires, they're all seasons, and they're not exactly great snow tires.
No, they're not really made for snow. They
No.
can handle deep snow, but ice and stuff like that, not a great thing.
So I'm like, this is going to be tricky. So what do? You go to McDonald's and have breakfast.
Yeah.
So I went to McDonald's, had breakfast, came back, powered it up. And before I powered it up, I got this email from GMC saying, your car has a massive fault. Reported to us. Please visit your dealer immediately.
Yeah.
A drive unit fault. I'm like, oh, I knew that, but thank you. But then I powered up and everything was fine.
I wonder if they sent some sort of code over the air or something like that to debug it or something like that. Do you think that happened?
I just think it was a software fault. I don't think it was a hardware fault. I think it just rebooted itself, and that's why it was back to normal. Had I known that, I could have done that on the trail, but I didn't know, right? Because last time I tried that,
The thing completely died.
It made things worse.
Yes, exactly.
So I was afraid of making things worse.
Well, especially because you're on the trail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody, dude, in January, nobody's out there. I am all by myself. That was stupid. I should have had a buddy. Nobody is. There was no cars, no bikes, no side-by-sides, no people. I was out there all alone.
As humorous as this is, as I said, it's a funny thing because I really wanted to like the Hummer when it came out because I think it looks amazing and on paper it's incredible. But because of its excessive weight, and I know I should be the one talking, right? That's the thing that really hit me. And Roman proved that on the trail, if you take something like this off-road, please have somebody else with you. Because if there's a fault or if you have a problem, you can't extract something like this with another vehicle easily.
No, you can't.
Right?
No.
I mean, you really can't. Even with another Hummer, it would be a lot of work for that vehicle to extract something that weighs over 9,000 pounds. So just keep that part in mind.
So that brings up kind of my next deal breaker,
Okay.
which is, and I hate to say this, but it's probably true now. Maybe it has to do with comfort, but I really don't like manuals off-road. If I'm buying an off-roader, I want an automatic, and just because manuals are really tough. So I'll give you an example of what I mean, right? I was on this trail ride with Tommy's old JK.
Okay, his JK.
Remember the JK, right? And there were like 30 Jeeps, and we would stop at the most awkward places. I'm sure the person in front.
I think I was with you when we did this.
No, you weren't there. It was just me at that point.
Oh, okay.
This was with Best Top. So I'm sure the first person stopped at a good place, but me, I'm like, let's say I'm at a ledge, and we stop, and now I've got no momentum, and now I got to burn the clutch to be able to bump it up and over the ledge. And I just find manuals really finicky and easily easily burnt, basically, on off-road. And I love manuals. Don't get me wrong. On-road, I would take a manual all day. But off-road, I like an automatic. And I don't like the Hummer EV. I think the pedal is way too computer controlled. Like, you have no sense of what the input that you're providing is anything that the truck is doing, right? The truck decides what it wants to do, no matter where you and how hard you press the pedal.
It's a very digital truck in that respect.
Yes.
That's why I actually give Ford a lot of credit, because the Lightning really did feel like kind of like a regular F-150, where if you modulate the accelerator, it felt a lot like just having a gas truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot more so than this, at least. And in terms of manuals off-road, well, I can't help the fact that you are sadly old and mistaken.
It's just capability-wise.
No, but you can still be very capable off-road, but you have to know how to really use that manual transmission off-road. Let me give you an example. Very hard.
It sounds like real men drive manuals off-road.
Yes, they do. But more importantly, especially if you have something like a little Suzuki Samurai. You remember my Samurai?
I remember, yeah.
That thing was badass off-road. You know why? Not just because it had the proper gearing for everything. I could throw it into first gear, slowly ease off the clutch, and let that thing go up the side of a mountain, even only had 70 horsepower, because it was geared properly. You cannot get that type of excellent gearing out of an automatic transmission.
So let me stop you right there
right.
For another word from our advertisers, and we'll be right back. All right, so let me ask you this. Given the choice between an automatic and a manual off-road, which would you take?
Well, it depends on the vehicle. Seriously, it does.
Because Jeep Wrangler.
Jeep Wrangler, the Wrangler two-door.
Yeah.
I would love to do it with a manual, because I think it's light enough
that's what
to
Tommy
where,
had.
yeah, and I think that would be okay. Once you're going up to the four-door or to a Gladiator, too heavy, especially because you have the V6, and that V6 isn't very powerful. So there's not enough torque or power to really make that weight work out with a manual transmission. But with the two-door, if it was a Sport or something like what Tommy had, the Willys, I think it's an excellent vehicle for off-roading with a manual transmission.
All right, here's another one of my deal breakers. The Japanese say, what's the most important part of a car? They say the door handle, because it's the first thing you touch.
Okay.
Whether you agree with that or not,
Okay,
at least some Japanese, I don't say all Japanese, but some Japanese, right? Designers will say that. That's your first moment of intimate contact.
I get that. I understand that.
So to me, a thin, crappy plastic steering wheel is a deal breaker. Can't stand them, especially on work trucks. If it feels really plasticky and you can feel the seam where the plastic
was
molded. Yeah, I hate that. I hate that.
I agree with you. It's something that I have on my little, I was about to say Suzuki, on my Hyundai.
Yeah.
And I actually had to get a steering wheel cover, which makes me look like an old man. But because I can't stand the feeling of the hard plastic, because I didn't go to the higher level that had the leather wrapped steering wheel. And I agree with you. I can't stand the feel of that plastic. And we live in Colorado, so even when it gets like cold, and that plastic just feels even cheaper because it feels brittle. Even though it's not, it just feels it. So I agree with you. Cheap plastic steering wheels do not turn my crank.
And it's funny because that's such a inexpensive.
It really isn't that expensive,
right?
For them
To have that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's just like there's all this like stupid cost cutting. Another one of these. It's probably not a deal breaker because we bought two vehicles, but bad headlights are. Now that we've had, like Stubby has horrible headlights. Right?
Stubby has horrible
headlights. Yeah, where it like you can't see, what is coming at you that's lit up, let alone like any people or animals or cyclists that may be in your way.
God forbid you get hit by insects on the headlights. You won't be able to see anything.
Yeah. So the problem with that one as a deal breaker is you don't really know because you don't test drive. I didn't know that. We bought Stubby, and then of course we flew to Idaho to Peterson's. Thank you guys. You were great to pick it up.
Yeah.
And then when it turned dark, all of a sudden it was like, Tommy, your lights aren't on. And he's like, yeah, they are. And I'm like, you sure those aren't driving lights? He goes, no, the lights are on.
Actually, that is a common issue with Stellantis products. There's a lot of those Jeeps included, if you get the base model ones, where the headlights just don't seem to be powerful enough. So that's my own issue. And you can now go, IHS measures headlight power. And
they do as part of their
crash
testing. Yeah,
and I think that's a good thing because it does matter to be able to see at night. Strange thing, right?
Yeah, no.
So I agree with that.
All right, do you have any others before I get to more of mine?
Well, there are a couple little things. Bad tires. I hate bad tires.
Yeah, but those aren't new. I'm talking about like new things.
I know.
You can't get bad tires as part of the OEM package. Some cars do have cheap tires. But
some of them are really crappy, though. Some of them are really crappy. But I'll go one step further. Forget the tires.
Okay.
There are a lot of car companies out there that for no other reason than just trying to make you suffer, put in crap stereos, crap infotainment systems. It's not necessary anymore. And this isn't going, I'm not going to go into the buttons
Some
or have,
people would say that lack of Android Auto or Apple CarPlay.
there's no reason for that anymore. There are really inexpensive vehicles that do it standard. And now a lot of vehicles are doing wireless Apple CarPlay and all that. And because the tech is so out there, it's so prevalent in society, there are so many being made, there's no reason for them to be higher priced components. Mitsubishi's base model vehicles have them as standard now.
I'll give you a deal breaker that happened to me yesterday.
Okay.
So I'm driving back from Moab, right? And we used to own 3 Teslas, and this is where Tesla gets a lot of credit, right? If you want to cross country a Tesla,
it's a lot easier than
it's a lot. So what you do is you program in your destination, and it knows, because millions of other people crowdsourced have driven the same way, so it knows where to stop. And the superchargers are usually in nice locations with like Starbucks or malls or something, not Walmarts or Sam's Clubs, but actual malls with coffee shops and stuff you want to stop at, not stuff you have to stop at. Not that Sam's Club and Walmart is bad. I just don't want to stop there when I'm cross country driving, right?
50 times.
Yeah. So you program it in, and then it tells you for how long, and then it's smart because it knows that you don't have to spend a half hour charging the thing. You put 15 minutes here, and it knows how many stalls are available. So if they're full, it takes you to the next one.
Yep.
It knows how much power those superchargers are putting out, so it knows exactly how long you're going to spend there.
And they've been really reliable too by comparison.
Then the app, right, will tell you exactly how much power is going into the truck, and how much it's costing you if you are paying for it. It's just seamless and it's wonderful. And the only critical thing I can say about it is Musk promised to open that up to all cars like a year and a half ago, and it hasn't happened.
Yeah, no soup for you.
Yeah, no soup for you. So that's, once again, this is a problem that Tesla has, where Mr. Musk makes a lot of promises, Cybertruck, that never, convertible, that never,
that are delayed
Roadster,
for so
right?
many reasons.
Right, that never happened. So anyway, a deal breaker for me, I figured out yesterday, was trying to cross country the GMC. So first problem, right? I punch in where I'm going, which is Moab to Boulder, and it tells me you want to stop here, you want to stop here, and you want to stop here. And this is using their new. It uses Google, so it's using Google to figure that out, right?
Okay.
All right. So first, it doesn't know. It has no idea. How many stalls are there? Or it knows how many stalls are there, but it doesn't know how many are being used and how many aren't being used, right?
So there's no real-time response.
Right, there's no real time. So the first stop it told me to go to was driving from Moab to Grand Junction, and 8 miles off the highway at a Sam's Club is an Electrify America, which is, there's 3 levels of chargers, and that's DC fast charging, which is what you want, because the Hummer takes in 300, it gulps electricity.
One of the best out there in that.
800 volt architecture, 350 kilowatts. And I pull up, and there are 3 cars parked there. There's a Lightning, which is done charging, which has been sitting there. There's an Ioniq, which is charging, and there's a Volkswagen ID, which is charging. And then there was another Ioniq. So I'm like,
oh well.
Do I unplug the Hummer? Do I unplug the Lightning? He's done. It says on the screen, please unplug.
Yeah.
And as I'm trying to figure that out, one of the Ioniq drivers says, I'm done. You can have my space.
That's nice of them.
But the planning route didn't know that, right? So it sent me to one that was completely booked. So I plug in, and I'm get this, 340, which is great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, 340. And now I'm the kind of person, because I don't trust it, I'm going to charge as much as I can. And right, you only charge 80%. So that leaves me 30 minutes of charging to get to 80%. And I was I think I was at 35%.
Okay.
Big battery, 250 kilowatt. It takes a long time. So now I'm wandering around Sam's Club, which is fine, but I'm not buying anything, right?
Yeah.
And then I figured out that there was a Chick-fil-A across the street, but it was one of these super busy streets, and crossing it on foot, not only do you put your own life in your hand, but you look like a homeless person, right? Because who in America actually crosses, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't cross streets with walking.
No.
Those are for the plebeian.
It's true, unfortunately, and sad, but true. So I finally found this coffee shop, and they actually had tea, which I drink, so that was great. So then I get in the truck, it's at 70%, I'm already bored. I'm like, okay, I'm getting close now. So I put in my next destination, which is Boulder. And now it says you won't have enough power to make it to Boulder. You'll be down by whatever it is, 50%. So do you want to add chargers, right? And I'm like, yes, I want to add chargers. And so it shows me the chargers that it wants me to stop at, right? and it wants me to stop at what is it? Plug and go. What's the other one? Not electrified.
Plug share.
Is it PlugShare?
There's PlugShare.
PlugShare is the app.
Uh,
So it's something like Plug. What's the other? I think
EVgo.
EVgo. Yeah, EVgo.
Okay.
So it wants me to stop at EVgo, and I'm like, okay, but I don't think those are level 3. But it says they're like slow, fast, and super fast, and these are fast. So then I go to PlugShare and I look them up, and guess what they are? They are 67 or 60 kilowatt chargers. So it's having me stop.
At level 2.
Basically,
Yeah.
it's more than, it's a level 3.
But it's one step.
60, this is a 250, it's the biggest battery of any EV. So it's having me stop at basically what would be equivalent of, not with like an eyedropper, but let's say a garden hose, right? Instead of like a fire hose.
Right. So he's just eking out a little bit of electricity. It would take hours for him to get to a certain.
So I'm like, screw that. I know where the next DA is. So I put in the next DA, which is a new one, by the way, in Edward, at this Shell station next to a supercharger. Right?
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, great. So drive there, pull there, and then I go inside the Wendy's, right? And get myself some food. What are you going to do? Where else are you going to go? And then I'm like sitting there, and I noticed that there's like this old dude like walking around the Hummer. And I'm wondering what the hell he's up to. So I'm like, well, let's see how much power I have, or do I? So I go to the GMC app, right? Let me show you. I go to my GMC app.
He's going to the
I
app.
pop up the app right now. So there's the app, and charging status. What are you seeing there?
58%.
Right, but what is it? Look at this little thing flashing there, next to it.
It says no. It's
No,
not.
it says right there, the little thing flashing.
I can't see it.
Right there.
Unsprayed.
Your eyes are bad. Updating.
Updating. Yeah,
Yeah.
my eyes are terrible.
Yeah, so it's updating. So that's
so it wasn't even telling you what was going on. It was updating.
yeah. It doesn't know. I sat there for like probably 5 minutes while it's updating, and I'm like, oh, screw this. So I leave my food because I'm not worried about what this old guy is like doing. I'm sure he's not going to do any damage, but you never know because he's like poking at it and he's like,
Yeah.
And so I go out there and now I've got my food sitting at Wendy's, and like Tesla would have told you exactly how much power is going into it if it's still plugged in. This thing updating, it doesn't know.
Okay, so to encapsulate, folks, to bring this all together into one piece.
It's a deal breaker. If you're selling an EV and you don't have that part of this is the technology guy, and you figured out to the point where the app tells you if it's charging, or it can figure it out, or the app can tell you, or the truck can tell you what the best route is. It's a deal breaker because basically cross countrying becomes just a giant. Like you've got like Ford. Well, you know what happened when you did the Cannonball.
Yes, but when we did the Cannonball, we were in an Ioniq 5 and we drove that cross country. The app that works with that is a lot better, I think, than the one that's working with the GMC. But there's a point here, and that is until all automakers can reach that level that currently Tesla's at, they set the bar. It's going to be very difficult to please Roman. But and I agree with a lot of that.
True that.
There's no reason why, at this point, with enough time that has elapsed, considering all the other automakers that are out there that are playing in the same pool, there's no reason why they can't push more resources into making apps and the system work better.
It becomes like the car. Right, it becomes an exercise in orienteering where you have like 13 apps running and you're trying to figure out how far the vehicle can go given the speed you're traveling, and where the next supercharger is, and is it occupied, and does it have 350 kilowatt chargers? It just becomes this horribly stressful and stupid thing.
That is that's the one side of it that's very, very negative. The bonus here is that I still maintain that electric vehicles, you can do it very easily if you take a more holistic approach, which is what I do, which is my car is so old it doesn't work on an app. So
but you're not. You mean your Leaf?
I got 30 kilowatt hour battery, so I'm going.
Wait, but you're never cross countrying that.
No, well, the closest I went 200 miles in it. That's as far as I went in a long distance drive. And that was a lot of work. So the bottom line here is that we're not up there. Yes, the infrastructure still needs a ton of work. And at this point, I think a lot of us, like Roman, are getting really impatient because we should be there now. We should really be there or really damn close.
All right, now let's get back to deal breakers that non-electric type people might.
Yeah, I think we can start winding it down.
Well, I'll give you a couple more.
Okay.
Headrests that poke you in the back of the head.
You know, it's a funny thing because there's some cars that have really great adjustability.
Oh, those like new Mercedes that are like the pillows?
Yes, the pillows.
The pillows,
and
yeah. Oh, my God. And then there are
actually,
I have to say this, but I don't know if yours is like this, but the Santa Cruz that we have has the cloth material, and you're going to hate this.
Please, I know what you're about to say, too.
When I put my head up against the headrest, it grabs the hair on the back of my head and like pulls at it. Do you have that problem, Nathan?
You know, funny thing, I really don't. What's really funny is that
I didn't plan that. Sorry.
No, yeah, of course you didn't. But it's fine. It doesn't bother me too much, obviously for reasons. But my wife drives the car from time to time. By the way, it's nicknamed the Turtle, partly because of its color.
Oh, is this a Leaf or is this Santa Cruz?
This is Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz. Okay.
But she doesn't adjust the headrest. When I set it high, and so when she sits there, her head is actually in the perfect position where it doesn't bother her. She has long hair and all that. However, when I drive it, I can feel that material in the back of my head, and I just pretend I'm at a masseuse or something like that, and that they're soothing my aching head. But honestly, I do get where you're coming at with headrests. Some automakers just don't do them quite right, or they're too intrusive.
Yeah, for sure. All right, how about, we were talking about this before, but let's kind of circle back. Do you like when the steering wheel moves the binnacle up and down along with the steering wheel? Like some cars, you're saying
like the whole thing.
The whole thing. And there's something in me that just kind of, I don't like that. I know it's practical because it doesn't block your point of view, but I just, I think the old 3Z, the Zs had that, right?
The old one, yeah.
Where the binnacle sat on top of the steering wheel.
Old Subarus did too.
Yeah, and it would move. And I just, there's something, I can't put my finger on it, but it's weird.
Well, for you, it's orientation, perhaps, that everything changes, and so the windshield versus the binnacle and everything else changes, and you're suddenly looking through a very different thing. For me, it's awesome because it's like a fighter pilot thing. It's like, oh, yes, now I get to see all the gauges. Oh, I never look at it anyway, to be honest with you. But I totally get why that can be an issue. I love being able to move all these components at the same time. So personally speaking, I like it. But I can't think of any modern vehicles that do that.
Yeah, I think that was like the last one was, I think the Z did that. Now, the other one that's new that does bug me quite a bit, and this is both electric and regular cars, is, of course, now the latest fad is to have glass roofs. I hate when there's no way to shade it, or like translucent glass that you could electronically make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you're just like in the hottest part of the day and there's nothing you can do to make the sun from boiling you on the inside. It's a big deal.
I agree. There has to be a shade of some sort, or you have to be able to dim the glass. I hate that. I don't like glass roofs that don't open up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of them out there. I like a roof that can open in some way. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so this is something that Tesla started, and I don't know if it was because Musk loved the fact that it was minimalist, right, that you didn't have a shade, but how expensive can it be to have a shade?
Oh, I don't think it's that expensive. Nowadays, because the tech is already out there, and there's plenty of companies that produce it, I don't think it would be that expensive to do it.
Another one that is becoming much more important, especially as time goes on, is having enough power in a vehicle. I hate not having and you see this in old cars especially, but new cars are getting better at it, but no USBs or new USB-C or no power whatsoever, because that's become, unfortunately, like for us, now the car is our office in some ways, and having that ability to be able to charge things and multiple things is very important.
Yeah, but I can't really think of any cars off the top of my head that don't have USB or USB-Cs in them.
Yeah, I was surprised. Even Stubby, which was the cheapest.
Yeah, it has a couple things.
Has a couple things. So they're getting better at it. But if you really want to get granular, it depends how much power they're putting out. And some of them don't put out.
That's true. And another thing is
I was in the previous generation Tundra, and I was trying to upload a video from my phone. And actually, the phone was using more power to upload the video than the charger that was plugged into the truck was providing.
That sounds about right. I actually do get annoyed when there's only USB-C, and I think Volkswagen was doing that, or one of the Germans was doing that. I like the old USB because I got a million of those, and not having that option really ticks me off personally.
All right, let's end on two popular ones that have become very controversial, and that is deleting or not having a volume and a tuning knob. Is that a deal breaker for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't stand that. I
Yeah.
can't. There's got to be something that is somewhat manual that I can adjust the volume with. Stroking your finger across the screen does not work for me. I know you're going to say, what about steering wheel controls? Yes, you're right. Those work. And that can be great. But even in some cases, steering wheel controls are sort of like stroke it and make it work. You know what? I'm not going there for a date. I'm not trying to buy someone a dinner. I want a knob that I can turn. That doesn't sound good either. I want a knob that I can turn or a rotating something for volume control at the very least.
So we have this new Audi Allroad, right?
That's beautiful.
It's beautiful that we're reviewing. We just reviewed, and it has a volume knob, but it doesn't have a tuning knob. So I was in the car with Tommy, and I'm like, you know how I like chill, which is 53.
Yeah, or
right?
AM.
AM, yeah. Sure. Anyway, so we're like on, I don't know, like classic rewind, which I think is 25, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I need to get to chill. And so the only way I could figure out how to do it was you're like, tick, 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 right? You're pushing on that
Yep.
little like fast forward little triangle, right?
Yeah. The
And
screen-
I'm like, Tommy, is this a lot easier than actually, just having a tuning knob and going bloop?
Yeah, which plenty of cars do. And I agree, a tuning thing would be great. Sometimes you got to think about whether or not someone's just simply comfortable with doing it. And one thing that's really important, and automakers, I wish you would listen to this. Even though screen controls are a lot easier for you guys, being able to physically feel something and not take your eyes off the road for very long in order to make volume go up or make the stations change or whatever really is a bonus. So think about that.
All right, and then let's end on this because we're done. Give me something that you think should be standard on all vehicles because it makes your life so much better. I'll give you the two, especially now that it's winter. I was driving back. I think heated steering wheel and heated seats should be on every car. That to me is just the epitome of comfort. When you get in a truck like I did yesterday and it was freezing outside and then the seat turns on before the cabin warms up, it's so nice. And then you wrap your frozen fingers since you've been cleaning snow off that heated steering wheel. Oh, such a wonderful invention.
I'm glad, Princess, that you feel better about that.
Once again, comfort.
I want a picture of Halle Berry standard on every car I enter on the greeting screen. For those of you
As
who are
Catwoman or just as herself?
no, Catwoman. No, she looked terrible in that. I think as herself.
Okay, all right, like in a red carpet.
Yeah,
one of those.
I'm glad my wife does not listen or watch.
So, what do you think should be like
a standard?
Yeah,
component?
that isn't, but that should be. That's a luxury item, but that should be standard. Don't say CD player.
I think we're finally done with that. I think Lex has finally stopped with doing
Tape
that.
deck? 8-track.
I do think that Android Auto and Apple CarPlay should be standard in all vehicles. And nowadays, I think it should be wireless. It's tech that's out there. Everybody has it. Even
the wire's
Mazda.
a pain in the ass, isn't it?
Yeah, and getting rid of the wires. And also, actually, the Qi or other types of wireless charging. Unfortunately, not all
Conductive
phones
charging.
do it. If you have like a big phone case like I do, it doesn't always work. But I really do think that Android Auto and Android, I just think that should be standard. It's not even a luxury thing, but it's nice to have.
Well, there you have it, guys. You've squandered, wasted.
Plenty of time with
now I
this.
sound
Thank
like
you.
car talk.
Oh, can I end on one note?
Oh, that's right. You got a note.
We rarely get letters.
Real
I
mail.
get tons. Real mail.
You got,
real mail.
You got fan snail mail. What you got, dude?
So this is titled. If you can't see this, it's "Haters Gonna Hate."
Yeah.
And this guy was responding to something I put out on social media because sometimes we get some really nasty comments. I tend to egg people on anyway. But this guy just wrote this wonderful letter. And it's just basically saying, hang in there, you guys are great.
What's his name?
His name is Jonathan.
No last name.
Yeah, with C.
Yeah.
And he's from West Virginia.
Thank you, Jonathan. That's kind of you to actually send
Really, truly.
a hater's going to hate, like, really nice fan mail card.
And he also sent, which is really cool, these Mitsubishi stickers, the Diamond Squad member, because I'm a Montero fan and I get made fun of by a lot of people, so he was really cool about it. So thank you very much. That was really, really cool.
And thank you to our Patreon supporters. We try to answer all your emails. Sometimes we're not great at it, but we try. We get a lot.
We try so hard. Hey, Roman, I wanted to mention something.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to the best cheeseburger you can ever go to?
Oh, heck yeah. Where is it?
Okay, it's in Santa Monica.
All right.
It's called the Burger Lounge
Okay.
in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
The
You were there on your vacation?
Yeah, I was out on my vacation. The assistant manager there is a big fan of TFL.
Oh, cool.
And
Shout out?
Yeah, shout out. But more importantly, it's about the best cheeseburger I've ever had. So I just got to throw it out there. That was free advertising.
What makes it so good?
The way they grill it,
Yeah.
the burger itself, the bun. Oh my God, I'm getting so hungry now, and I'm not allowed to eat for another 2 hours. Is just done right. It reminds you of a burger at a really expensive restaurant, but it's not that expensive. So anyway, just throwing that out there.
I've been watching the show on Netflix called Million Pound Menu. And pound menu, yeah. They basically give like, my background is in restaurants, right? So my folks had a restaurant, and I grew up in a restaurant. So they give like people who have food trucks or like, concepts for restaurants the ability to like open up a pop-up restaurant and then to get investors.
Ooh, we should do that. TFL restaurant.
TFL restaurant, yeah.
You're not going to go
out of the pot into the fire. Hell yeah. Anyway, it's so grueling, right? Because these poor people, have these really interesting concepts, right, that I've never heard of before. That just sound. And one of them was I think it was called it was Black Bear Burger. So they said. And then these investors are just like, they just tear them a new one. I feel so horrible about it. They're like, oh, we can't do it. It's not on trend, yada, yada, yada. And then I watch like Shark Tank, and then somebody walks in there and they, 5% of my company for $500,000, and I've had no sales, and they get
sold.
funding.
Yeah,
I don't get
it's
it.
a rubber earring. Trust me, this will catch on. Oh wow, $1 million idea.
Yeah, and somebody funds them, but these guys were grueling. They make them cook like 2 full servings, and these people have never had restaurants, so they're I got 60 customers. How do it's the most stressful thing, and the most stressful thing about it. This is hilarious, right? So what they do is they give the investors like a 6 o'clock deadline to come in and offer them money to actually start up this restaurant. And so they put the camera on these people like at 5 o'clock, and they're just sitting there staring at the door. And the producers are like, you cannot come in until 10 seconds to 6. Right? And they're just, you can just see the stress on their faces. And I'm like, oh, you've put these poor people through so much hell, and especially in the restaurant. It's such a it's a wonderful business, but
it's a terribly difficult business.
It's a terribly difficult business. Why make it so stressful? And then, then the door doesn't open and nobody comes in, and I'm like, ah.
This is why I love being an automotive journalist, because, well, besides the fact that I'd be 350 pounds if I was a
and it's
journalist.
British, so
Oh, it's British. Then it's going to be harder.
Oh yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you so much for joining us, guys. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.